What's up, everybody? It is Thursday afternoon, live from the den. Glad to have you here. We're gonna jump on over to the comments section. We've got something a little different for you guys today. Something we're gonna be doing a little bit more of in the future. Hopefully, so we have a guest on. He's not on just yet. We had a little miscommunication on the time to start, so he's getting signed in, but hopefully he'll be joining us here shortly. His name is Bruce, and he is from South Africa. So we will see him in just a few minutes. And in the meantime, go ahead and throw your comments and questions up in the comments section. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up, a thumbs down, an angry face, a happy face, whatever you feel like. It all helps. Share us on whatever platform you're listening. I think we're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter for all of our 11 Twitter followers. So give us a share. Make sure your friends got on here, and we can chat about whatever you want to. Anything airsoft related, non-airsoft related, whatever makes you guys happy. So it has been a busy couple weeks here at Wolverine Airsoft headquarters. One says, why did we leave out MySpace? Well, I don't have a MySpace. I'll be honest, I never had a MySpace. I missed that train. I don't know. It looks like Bruce is on, so we'll see whether we can get him up on the stream here. There we go.
Hey, Rich, how's it going?
Going all right. How you doing?
I'm well. Can't complain.
Yeah. So, everybody, this is Bruce. He is with Airsoft League South Africa. I will let him give a little introduction of himself to get us started here.
Thanks, Rich. I appreciate you guys having me on your stream for a change, and I'm happy to be here. So, yeah, I'm Bruce. I'm from Airsoft League South Africa, and yeah, we just out here trying to make things happen for South Africa and have you guys on board and helping us do it. So we just like to spread it, and hopefully people from all over the world can come and join us in South Africa sometime, and vice versa, so that we can share some airsoft all over the world.
Yeah, so Dalton and I had an opportunity to head down to South Africa a couple months ago now, I guess it was, right?
Yeah,
two months ago. Yeah. Had an awesome time, really fun. Hoping to go back at some point, but it was kind of neat to see. Airsoft is pretty young in South Africa, right? It's not been a big thing there for real long, and it's kind of neat to see a sort of a young market where they're learning and growing. And Bruce has been doing some really good work on sort of building the community there. And what do we got? Sorry, my video is flipped. Click gear icon. Say what? My video is flipped? What does that mean?
Click gear icon. What was that? Follow the instructions.
Gear icon. Settings. Video. Is my mirror camera?
Video.
I'm the other way now.
Now you swapped.
I don't know which way is right, guys, but there you go. Apparently Brandon didn't like the way the video was. Anyway, so Bruce, why don't you tell him some of it? Because you've done some interesting things in terms of just trying to sort of grow the sport down there, really taking a proactive approach, and in terms of building community, getting it, different venues, different some stuff with schools even, and stuff like that. Just trying to really grow both the sort of casual and the more competitive sides of the sport.
Correct. Yeah. So so we've tried something different, and we've obviously, besides the social games aspects that we've had, and most airsoft organizations have, we try in something with a little bit of the 5v5, the leagues divisions. We've got provincial teams coming into it now. So for you guys, not everybody follows the term provincials. So for you guys, it will be states. So all the different states will come together in the US and compete against each other to obviously then become the US team or the dream team or whatever term one needs to use. So we've got the provincial squads, which is for all the different regions within South Africa and provinces within and states within South Africa, and then they will then compete at a national level to become the South African team, which we will then take overseas and compete against a US team or European teams and all the other international teams that will basically be at the events that we go to. Another approach, I feel like the youngsters don't often get the exposure or the opportunity, actually, for a better choice of words, an opportunity to actually play airsoft against people their own age. So we've now gone and generated a schools divisions league where the schools themselves will enter their school. That school will then compete against other schools. So like an extracurricular activity that you would play at school, whether it be soccer or something like that. Now they get to play airsoft as a sports,
and that's so fun because I think if you went to any of the local school boards in the U.S. and suggested that they started an airsoft league, you probably would get chased out with a stick. Like they I don't think they'd take too kindly to that. But that's really cool, giving them an opportunity to play against other, because it can be intimidating for young kids to play against adults, or you got some kid that's 13, 14 years old and thinks it would be fun to go play airsoft, but there's a bunch of big kids running around there being super aggressive, and giving them an opportunity to sort of come up to speed on at a level that's competitive for them. That's pretty neat.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, especially if you want to grow the sport in the next 10 years. A lot of us want to grow the sport as airsoft as it is, and we're only concentrating on the now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we just think a little bit out of the box, and we take it at a school level, and we let the kids play against the kids. We've got kids playing from 6 years old, and the one issue we have is if that kid goes and plays against an adult and they get lambasted completely with BBs, they're not coming back. Yep. There's no way in hell are they coming back to join us in airsoft. So if we concentrate on the youngsters 6 to 8 to 10 years old and give them an opportunity to actually play against each other, it changes everything. So by introducing the schools divisions, they get to play against themselves, and they don't have to worry about they're getting hit by the same BBs that we all getting hit. But there's a different approach, a different level of aggression, different level of competitiveness. So the schools thing, it's definitely working. We've got quite a few schools on board already. We're actually now in the middle of the school year. So the kids have just come out of exams for the midterms. And we're starting the new school term soon, and the school division is going to take off. We've actually got quite a few good, decent schools organizations that are coming on board. So it's exciting. And I mean, at the same time, it's creating jobs for us in South Africa as well, because we've actually got people that will now go and manage those schools, those divisions, that region within which that school exists. So, and at the same time, which is also quite exciting for us, we bring in all the old airsoft all the new airsoft venues and all the old paintball venues that are now no longer making any good business their way, or not quite the business that they used to from 5-10 years ago. They've now converted over to airsoft, and they become the feeding area for certain schools, so that they will be playing at that venue more frequently. So, well, look, at the end of the day, my objective is simple. I want to grow airsoft, whether it's South Africa or worldwide.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just want to grow the sport. I think it's a sport that can definitely go the distance, and maybe not an Olympic-based sport. I mean, I don't see it being an Olympic sport, but if we grow the sport in one country or all countries, it's definitely going to make a difference internationally and locally for any country. And I'm looking at growing the individuals, the juniors, get the juniors into it, and we got airsoft for the next 10 years growing. So that's basically where I'm at on that level.
So those of you that are on the stream, go ahead and get comments or questions up there. It's pretty quiet in the chat right now. If you have questions for me, you have questions for Bruce, throw them up there. Don't be shy, and we'll keep trying to answer them. It is something that I think that we need more of. I don't know. I feel like we've been really short-sighted as an industry. Just kind of either people that how to say this, either people that are enthusiasts and genuinely care about airsoft, but maybe aren't the most business savvy, and so they don't really know what to do. Like, they just kind of got into it because they wanted to do something. They needed to do something, and they like airsoft, so let's make a bit. So they don't have any long-term strategy, because that's sort of their mentality. It's just, well, I like airsoft and I want to do something in airsoft. Or some people that just are more into it to make a quick buck, and not really, they see it as something that can, maybe make them some extra money, but don't really have a long-term vision for sort of growing the industry. And that's something that I've talked about with people over the years, is like airsoft as a hobby, I think, has one of the shortest lifespans of a participant, at least in the US, of any hobby that I know of. Like, the average airsofter plays airsoft for like 2 to 3 years. Right. Like, it's really hard to grow an industry when that's the lifespan of your, of your participant. That's just, you need a lot of new people all the time to just replace the people that aren't playing anymore. And I'm not sure. I'm not really sure why that is exactly. Whether it's, and maybe you have thoughts on this, but is it lack of sort of places to go with it? Like, people sort of max out what they feel like they can do with it, and then
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a big factor. If you play in the same field, let's say you've got 4 venues, because I think on average each player out there has between 4 and 6 venues that they can play at. Mm-hmm. But the whether it's 4 or 6, at the end of the day, that's determining the lifespan of how long you're going to play airsoft for. Because if you're going to play at the same venue over and over for 2 years, you're done. Right. You're not expanding. Yeah. You're getting bored. Boredom is a major factor. You eventually know that field so well that it doesn't create any decent game style for you. So right. That's something that I've also been looking at. And if you include all the airsoft organizations around you and build one huge community, then you have 20, 30 venues, and then you don't have bored airsofters. Every weekend's a different game, different venue. I mean, I just recently had a game which absolutely blew names Nico and Perry, which is GG Astro, which flew in from the UK to come and play. And everybody else that played that venue that are from South Africa, they went and played at a scrapyard with yellow machinery and equipment, and it
Nice.
was a completely raw venue. But that's something that doesn't happen in South Africa, and apparently it's something that doesn't happen in the UK either,
Yeah.
which was a nice little twist. Some great, as names Nico and Gigi Astro say, there's some nice content that came out of that event.
Yeah.
And it's something that they're not used to, and they haven't seen much of that kind of field. So if we keep it exciting,
Yeah.
you're going to have a longer lifespan of airsofter. And
The other thing I see you doing more of, and I see some people doing this, but I don't see nearly as much of it. And I'd like to do more. My limitation is that we don't sell entry level products, right? We sell more premium product, but I don't see airsoft companies very often going after targeting non-airsofters for marketing, like trying to bring in new people. I see a lot of work to try to get as many existing airsofters to come to my games or come to my store or whatever it is. But I don't see a lot of targeted marketing to outside of existing airsoft customers.
Yeah.
And that's also really hard to grow a sport if you don't have that. Like we don't see that much in the US. It's not that common that I talk to a store owner or a field owner or something and ask them, well, what do you do for marketing? It's all focused around people that already play airsoft, and it's more the exception that says, well, I go down to the whatever. I go down to the local social areas and put up flyers and try to get people to come play. That's just not a mindset that most airsoft companies in the US that I talk to have. They tend to just try to get people that are already playing airsoft to give them business.
I think that's got a lot to that's very common in South Africa. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But so I started approaching paintball's still active in South Africa, but it's a dying industry. Like the guys don't have as much opportunity in the paintball industry as they did a few years ago. I don't have any paintball history behind me. I mean, other than a couple of bachelor parties and the usual growing up kind of, I want to play paintball with my mates. That's as far as my knowledge on paintball goes. But South African paintball, and I don't know how it is in the States and the rest of the world, but because it's become less active and less of a sport that can now give you the opportunity of going overseas, I've started approaching players like that. They make a bit of an adjustment because obviously their game style changes.
Right.
They can't be as trigger happy as they used to be when it comes to paintball. I mean, you can tell exactly that trigger finger. You know when you're playing against a paintball on the other end of your barrel. And look, I must admit that's when the MTW comes in handy. But I'm sure you'll get there. So look, I mean, it's something that I'm always trying to expand. I mean, my past event was a huge success for me. We had the glitches that most events have, but I sold out 90 rentals of first-time players, and that is something that I'm continuously after. It's not so much I had 50 players or 100 players or 400 players. What I'm after is I had 90 new players that had never played Airsoft before, and that's one game. So if you get the event right, that means you can secure at least 80 of those players to play a second time.
Right.
And then the same thing goes with the whole the paintball industry or the security and personal protection industry. And a new one that I've been approaching is the local police. Not always do they get to actually experience real live testing or live fire. Obviously, Airsoft is probably the closest they're going to get to that live training.
Right.
I mean, we get the adrenaline that's rushing. I don't care who you are. When you're coming around some corners and you know you're in trouble, everything's going. All the
Oh yeah,
adrenaline spiking, you having the biggest time of your life, but you're not going to die doing it. So
right.
it allows you to be reckless, but also at the same time allows you to collect the right amount of data to actually be in that form. So from a security personnel and that training sector and the police, that's a good approach. It does generally help bring more players to the table. And the paintballers, we're just giving them a new field to play on, and they love in the competitive side, which and well, the more seasoned paintballers are just loving the social side. I mean, we've
Yeah.
got
Oh
a
yeah.
couple of
Yeah.
good guys playing. They just want to. They're done with the competitive stuff. They want to socialize.
Yep.
So it works. It definitely works.
All right, got some good questions on here. I'll throw a few up to you to go through them sort of rapid fire. Alicio says, I haven't seen any marketing anywhere. How are people supposed to get exposed to airsoft without it? That's pretty much, yeah.
That's right.
That's
don't know what
goes.
regions they're from, but Alicia, look, on my end, I mean, I try to promote as much as I can, and
Yeah.
generally, even when my target market, it's not airsofters. Airsofters are already airsofters. I don't need
Right.
airsofters to convert to playing airsoft. So I am definitely trying my utmost to try and get out. And I mean, we must be doing something right because you're on the channel. So I mean,
Yeah.
there's something there. I'm not sure what area you're from or country for that matter, but I know when it comes to South African marketing, it's very small. Not many people do it. I think I'm probably one of maybe 3 or 4 that actually really go all out in the marketing. So I think as the sport grows, more and more will get out there. But for right now, okay, I see he just popped in there. He's from South Africa. I mean, you're welcome to follow my chats. Go on to Airsoft League SA. Give us a follow. I can promise you now, as long as you're following me, everybody that follows you will definitely get my marketing. It's all about target market and reach. And at this day, it's all social media. It's been on the right platforms. We're trying to expand on everything. I mean, we on Twitch, we on Discord, we on. I think the only thing I'm not on is LinkedIn. I mean, my wife laughs at me because I said I'm on Tumblr. We on Twitter, we on Instagram, Facebook. You name it, we on it.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I haven't done, like I said, is LinkedIn. So yeah, just follow us on our pages. I mean, we'll definitely spread as much as we can and can continue to do so as well.
Keenan asks, when will the MTW arrive in South Africa?
It's in South Africa. We're just waiting for customs. Good old customs. Customs is our friend at this stage, and that's in massive inverted commas. So, yeah. Look, MTWs are they're already in South Africa. The pre-order sales are already open, so go ahead, place your orders within the next couple of days. I was actually told today that they are finalizing the clearance, so hopefully midweek. I think Friday is going to be a bust. It's South Africa, and unfortunately, we know no one works in South Africa on a Friday. So I think Friday might be a bust, but it would be a great surprise if UPS came knocking on my door. But I'm hoping Monday, Tuesday, we should have the stock, and then we can start doing some deliveries.
Nice.
Yeah.
Juan wants to know how big HPA is in South Africa.
I'd say HPA, I'd say before April was maybe 3%.
Yeah.
Of the airsoft market. It was,
if that,
nearly non-existent. I mean, the people that knew what HPA was were paintballers because they came from the high pressure air industry, but airsofters were still, but there's a long line, and which I promise you, when you get into your HPA, that line disappears. It doesn't exist anymore. But since April, there was a lot of marketing done by you guys at your stand with Wolverine's stand at Airsoft X, and that was a big thing. Okay, it made a big impact, and we had a lot of people after that asking about it. And since then, I mean, I only play with HPA, and I've converted quite a few players over to HPA already, whether it be the Inferno Gen 2 systems that they stick in or the full MTW system. And then having names Nico and Gigi Astro, Perry Wood coming through and actually playing with them and showing the guys what's actually going on. They've started adapting to this whole new system, and HPA is definitely, I'd say, increasing. The knowledge is there. I think it's just about the guys getting into it,
Yeah.
And actually doing their purchases. But there's a lot more HPA on the other end of my barrel these days, and that's good. I like that. An AEG just does not keep up with the rate of fire that the MTWs that I'm using. There's no chance. You have no chance.
Alicia wants to know when the next Airsoft X is.
Oh, wow.
Listen, he still hasn't recovered from the last one. Give the man a break.
I don't know if you saw the loop video before we came on. I'm sure you'd see that, how tiring it was. But look, we are going to do Airsoft X again. There's no two ways about it. It's a good concept. It really does work. I've got a lot more people behind me this time. I mean, Airsoft X was a one-man show. I did that by myself. And first of all, bringing 1,200 players to the game and trying to keep everybody happy, as well as look after all the exhibitors and keep them happy, and look after the safety marshal.
Demanding people like me hanging around.
Look, at least you were throwing some hints in every now and then. Other people just moaning the whole time. So it's difficult to keep everybody happy. But there's one thing's for sure. There will be another Airsoft X. I want it to be an annual event. So we are looking for a better venue this time around. A venue was a big factor. I've got an events company on board as a partnership now. So things are totally different. The next Airsoft X is not going to compare to the first one. So anybody that went to Airsoft X, I'm going to tell you right now, and excuse my French, but that was a shit event compared to what's coming next. So no two ways about it. It's going to be way better.
All right. Juan asks, based on my visit to South Africa, was there any big difference in South Africa versus US? Different jewel limits, medic rules, common player age, etc. Player age was pretty comparable. It's mostly young men. There were more women playing by a large margin than in the US. I mean, females of any age at an airsoft event in the US are pretty uncommon. They're out there, but there's not many of them. There are noticeably more women at the events, at least the ones we were at. And from what I understood, that's fairly typical. Jewel limits were comparable. Nothing crazy in terms of jewel limits or anything like that. Medic, the biggest difference in my and don't take this at all as an insult, Bruce, but it felt a lot like playing airsoft did in the US 15 years ago.
Yes.
Things like medic rules were not as refined, right? It's just haven't figured out what works with the player base exactly yet. There's just stuff that is not as but on the plus side, it also felt like playing in the US 15 years ago. There was a lot of enthusiasm. It was kind of fun because people really didn't take themselves too seriously, right? That's one thing, that one of the noticeable sort of cultural differences between like going to the events there and maybe going to a MilSim event in the US. Like people they were just there to have fun. Nobody was taking themselves too seriously. Half the people were out there in, leafy camo, just, whatever. They're out there having a good time. They're not worried that their camo doesn't match perfectly or whatever else. They're just, and it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of enthusiasm. And I'm gonna roll that right into a question that somebody asked. I'm jumping around on questions here, so I'm gonna miss some, I'm sure, but I apologize. What do you think brings people back after one game? Because we talked about, you need to get new people in. How do you maximize people coming back? And I'll let you jump on that in a second. My first thought is that I think the biggest thing that brings people back is community. You touched on that briefly earlier. Like, I think people coming back or not coming back, sometimes it has to do with the quality of the gameplay or, whatever else. But I think more often than not, it's the people. Did they have a good experience or did they have a bad experience with the people that they met there? And that's, that's where they, if it's sort of incumbent on if us as participants in the industry, if we want the industry to, if we want to have good games and have lots of people attending and, lots of opportunities to play, the biggest influence on that is us. How do we treat people when they show up? Do we make fun of them because they showed up in jeans and a t-shirt and didn't have the proper camo to run? Or do we welcome them and help them out when they have a problem and welcome them into the group? Because at the end of the day, that's really what a lot of people are looking for. Is just a community that they can be a part of. I think that's the biggest thing that brings people back.
No, I agree with you. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that one. And also another thing is growing community. I mean, you can't market for a community. You can't advertise to build a community. You can't throw money at building a community. So that's advertising and building people coming to the event. But like you say, when it comes to a community, that is how people fit in with each other. And look, I mean, the South African communities are still young. I mean, Airsoft League South Africa is 5 minutes old. It hasn't been here long enough to even consider itself having a community. I mean, I know that my community for my organization within Airsoft is growing, but the whole point of having a community is having people that want to talk to the person next to them when they only see each other at Airsoft, and helping those that have no clue what's going on. That builds community. And like I said, I mean, my first event I ever hosted was in November last year. And I don't have massive events experience behind me, but the one thing I have noticed is there's such a vast difference in different types of communities that we have approaching. And like I've said many times, I'm not trying to build one community. I'm trying to build all communities. So I'm trying to bring in communities that have been around for 5 years, 10 years. I'm trying to bring in communities that have been around like mine has, but which hasn't been around for very long. So it's about getting the right people at the right mix and throwing a good game where people just have a good time. When you have a lot of arguments in a game, and any host can tell you this. I mean, if you host the perfect game style, but one guy doesn't call his hits and then the next guy shouts, and that's a community breaker immediately. So there's a high chance that one of those two players are not going to come back to that game the next time because it's the organization or it's the host. But at the end of the day, there's so much that we need the community to do to build the community rather than just the organizers. And I've only learned that now recently because I was a player and I moaned about the organizer. I'm like, come on, this organizer doesn't know what he's doing. Come on, but until you've actually hosted a game and figured it out, you're not going to really understand the work that goes into building the event and the community. So that's something we got to all build together. Building a community is not easy. It's not easy.
It's not. And it's not there's no foolproof plan to it, and there's no faking it. This is something that I've realized, but I think it's very important, regardless of what type of community you're trying to build or what type of culture you're trying. If you're trying to build a good culture, because that's really what we're talking about, is building a good culture within a group, and that goes for whether you're talking about something like Airsoft or whether you're talking about a business. I strongly believe it can't be faked. You can't fake treating people well. You can't fake caring about people. You either care about people and treat them well or you don't. And you can
Exactly.
you can follow all sorts of rules to fake treating them well, to act like you care about them. They're going to know whether or not you actually care about. Like, people are not stupid. They're, so
No.
you can't, we can't fake it. We can't just, pretend. There it has to actually be a genuine sense of, of good-natured sense of concern for other people and caring about other people, and that comes through in everything with how you play, and how you interact outside of the game at events. And that's just, that's something that's got to, it's incumbent on all of us, if we want this thing to continue growing, to sort of nurture that attitude towards the other people we're playing with, and especially towards new people coming in, because that's sort of where we started this question.
Yeah. I mean, also, I mean, there's a massive thing that I've noticed, and I took that page out of your book when we actually spoke at Airsoft X. Making dying fun creates a better game and actually builds community. That builds community, because acting the absolute fool in front of someone else and they doing the same thing, that creates laughs, and it makes you can keep dying fun. And it's something that I'm really trying to work on, because, like you said, South Africa is 15, maybe 5, whatever. I don't care. It's a good few years behind in airsoft. And one of the things we spoke about a lot when you were here was that dying, the medic rules and everything. So, I started running games at Airsoft X where I said, listen, go and die with no dignity. And guys started doing that, and they started screaming. And I actually, because it's so new to us as a community, as airsoft in South Africa, that when people actually fell down, dying, shouting, medic, we actually try to respond as first responders, because like, well, who's dying, like, for real? And that was a massive change for us. I mean, we're doing a couple of things now. We want that whole dying with no dignity thing as a part of our games, because yes, that builds character to an event, and that character turns into community. I mean, what we do by advertising to build and get more people in, that's looking for customers. Customers are not community. That's not how you build community. So yeah, it's definitely something that we have to work on. 15 years behind, but we got some time to catch up.
But you've got more examples to learn from and avoid mistakes and do so. You can. It won't take you 15 years to get to the same spot. It just
hopefully.
That's just a matter of. Let's see. You got a question for me? I damaged my micro airline fitting when installing the VSR bolt. The shipping. Yes. Okay. So our website doesn't calculate shipping very well internationally. Sometimes it's just the nature of the beast. We do have various retailers in the UK. They very likely would have the parts you need. If you get in touch with sales at wolverineairsoft.com, he will Dalton will try to get you connected with the right person that might have that part for you. And if not, maybe try to find a less expensive shipping option if you can't get it in country. Glenn said there's not much marketing currently, and the main videos that blow up are the cheater videos that make people not want to play. Sadly true. Those are the things that go viral, as people acting like absolute idiots and, hosing each other because somebody burned somebody's patch. Like, it's stupid. But yeah. I mean, it's stupid. Like, and it's sad because, like, I'm not going to say that it never happens, because it does. But I've been doing airsoft for over 15 years, close to 20 years now, and I have never seen that done. Like, I've seen people get mad at each other, and I've seen people, shout and yell, and maybe take a couple cheap shots here and there, but like, just straight up hosing somebody point blank for no reason. Like, it's not actually common, at least nowhere I've ever played, and I've played a lot of different places. So it is really sad that is what people see. I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm whatever. I'll get haters because everybody. I'll throw another thing that everybody hates on is CrossFit, right? It's like people that share all the CrossFit, CrossFitters doing stupid stuff videos, and CrossFitters do plenty of stupid stuff. Like, that's not the point, but like those videos of people being morons and hurting themselves are the videos that everybody sees, and gives a whole group a bad reputation that is not representative of the whole. So let's see. This is an interesting question. Do I still have you? You're kind of frozen on my end. Whoop. I think maybe we lost Bruce. We'll see if he comes back here. Bruce, my man. All right. Looks like maybe we lost him, so we're going to have to try to get him back on here. Linus just jumped on. How's it going, man? Super M. I don't know why that would be the case. It really shouldn't. I know that currently we have, but this just started a day or so ago. Our ticket center started acting up, but you shouldn't need it. You generally get a response within a couple days. So there we go. He's back on. So try reaching out directly, and we'll get you taken care of. Let's see. Linus, Blackleaf Airsoft, he's actually going to be coming to the U.S. here in July, coming to the summit this summer. So that's going to be fun. Looking forward to seeing him. It's been a few years. Coming from Switzerland. So here's a fun question that for you, Bruce. I have my thoughts on this, but I want to hear what you think. What do you think is more important, better venues or better game design and organization? Oh, I've got no audio from you. Nothing, not showing up anything. No, let's see. Mute and unmute. I don't know. I've got no audio whatsoever. Sorry, guys, a little bit of technical difficulties. Let's see. Why don't you try just signing off and signing back in again, and we'll get you in just a minute. I'm getting nothing, no signal, audio signal coming through. All right. I had a comment said, I think the issue of kids, younger generation retention is they have the ideal in their head. All the kids want to be a sniper, for example. They have no real idea of what that entails and means, plus the work that goes into a finely tuned airsoft replica, whereas most decent AGs can compete with most replicas on the fields. All right. Are you there, Bruce?
There's a little volume slider next to it, like in below him.
He's but I'm getting no signal from him at all. Like there's no you're talking about the gain? Yeah, but he's getting zero signal coming through. Don't know why. I'm not sure. Like the system has no signal at all. He keeps going. He says it takes the right mentality to invest the time and money along with research to really bring something to its max potential. Replicas like the MTW bring that higher end to the masses, but not cheap. Yeah, that is definitely an element of it, is people people maybe unrealistic expectations of what's going to happen. Bruce, you can't answer, but I'm going to a request was sent. Do you think you could ask Bruce to bring some Evo mags for the MTW9? I don't know. I don't know whether you have MTW9s coming or not, but that is one thing we should mention. All of you on here, the standard version, the base trim level version of the MTW9 is now live. This is the best option for anybody that's going to highly customize stuff themselves. The other trim levels with the nicer furniture and all that kind of stuff are great, but this is a less expensive option. For those of you trying to get in for a few less dollars and you're going to swap the stock and grips and all that kind of stuff anyway, comes with sort of our standard LE style grip and stock and just the polymer flash hider. So these are live for order now. Let's see. Well, I think we will probably go ahead and wrap it up, considering we don't have any audio. And, well, Bruce just disappeared. I think he's going to try one more time. We've still got nothing. I think he changed to his phone, and he's still got nothing.
Yeah, it's not my side then.
Hey! No,
there you go.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah. It's not the best.
Well, so we'll make it work.
Yeah.
So the question was, which is more important, venue or game design and execution?
Yeah. So my view on that is an exciting venue definitely adds to the game. So game design can definitely make a big difference as well. But I think it can go either way. I mean, I've got the old Kempton Park Hospital, and if you host a pretty standard game style there, you can still have an amazing game. As soon as you start making the game mode a lot more technical and full of objectives or too many objectives, it kind of ruins the venue as a game. Or as a way to actually even just enjoy the venue. So I've noticed with certain venues, simple game designs work better than some venues with more complicated game designs. So I think there's kind of a ratio. Complicated venue or more technical venue requires more relaxed game design, as opposed to a relaxed game style or game venue can take on a more technical game mode. And so I think it's 50-50. It can go either way.
Yeah. So it's interesting in the US, what I sort of watched happen was, up until I'm going to say 12, 13 years ago, major venues in the US were really hard to come by. By that, I mean, getting onto, we have lots of military bases that have mount facilities, sort of urban training facilities and stuff like that. And our ability to get on sites like that was really, really limited. It was really hard to do.
Yeah.
Now but stuff started sort of opening up to us, and I don't know, probably 2000. It probably started about 2006, 2007. So that's like 15 years ago now. Stuff really started opening up more. There were more venues and over the next 5 years or so, a lot of venues were available. And so initially, a really cool venue was all you needed. It almost didn't matter what you did with the gameplay. Everybody was just so excited to play at this really cool facility. As long as you didn't just completely screw up the gameplay, everything was good because it was a fun venue and you're playing on this like military facility. Like, this is super cool. I've never done this before. Nobody's ever done this before. But 5 or 10 years of that, and the venue sort of ceases to be. You can no longer use the venue as a crutch, as a game organizer. It gets to a point where people, even if they haven't played that venue in particular, they've played enough that are close, like enough cool venues that are like it, that just the fact that it's a really cool venue isn't enough anymore. You need to have the game. And by that, I don't mean that it necessarily needs to be more complex gameplay, because I actually personally favor pretty simple gameplay. I don't need a whole bunch of objectives and a whole bunch of like in-game stuff. Like give me a field that works for gameplay, and give me a target where the enemy is, and I'll go have fun on my own. I don't need a ton of just sort of other stuff personally. But if the game isn't well executed, right? If they spend so much effort on just getting the venue and doing all that then the rules aren't well enforced, or the instructions aren't clear, and all the stuff that sort of makes the game run smoothly, that becomes far more important once the community gets a bit more mature and is used to having the really cool venues. You can't just lean on that as a crutch anymore. Like, you got to be executing on the games. And I still feel like, I'm not mentioning any names, very specifically not mentioning any names, but I still feel like there are some game organizers in the US that haven't really realized that yet. They still feel like, hey, if I just get this venue, then that's going to be, and people will show up. It will get people to show up. It won't necessarily get people to have a good time.
It's the same here. I don't see it being very different. Obviously, there's totally different game styles. I think you guys have a lot more advanced game styles, but yeah, in South Africa, it's the same. You can overplay a venue, like you said. The venue pretty much becomes cease to exist kind of venue, where the numbers start to drop if you overplay that venue or too frequently. Just throwing games at the same venue over and over too frequently, you do ruin the venue. The players themselves are excited to play there. Yes, we get that. We know they are. And sometimes the players actually will come to me for a specific venue like Kempton Park Hospital, where they will be continuously saying, oh, when's the next one? And they've literally just finished playing an event, and they'll ask me, when's the next one there? So I do leave the events further apart so that it allows you that opportunity to actually forget a little bit about how it worked at the hospital, how you played or where you went. If you can do that, I think you can keep a venue alive. But if you're hosting a venue every weekend or every second weekend, it's going to get boring, and it's going to get boring fast. So that's one of the main things. Like, if you keep changing up the venues, even as a player, if you just keep playing different venues all the time, you'll enjoy the venues that even the host overplays, because you're not there all the time.
Right. Here's a comment that I actually think is true. It says, I love creative game scenarios. They don't have to be complicated, but also don't take themselves too seriously. Fallout, Resident Evil, and such. That's actually a really good. I think a lot of those. I think a trap that we in the U.S. tend to fall into is we try to make our gameplay styles like super military-ish, if that makes sense. Yeah. Versus making them game oriented and just stuff that's fun. Like, this doesn't have to be a realistic, military scenario. It needs to be a format that makes it fun and competitive to play. The ones I get sort of worn out on are, and I know some people get into like super into command structure and all that kind of stuff, but like, if the game is structured so that I have to constantly be on the radio passing stuff up and down the command chain in order to get instructions for the next thing I'm supposed to do, I just get tired of that. Like, just give me something that is
Everyone does.
like I don't want to sit here and well, we moved, we took the next hill. Now we need to call in and get instructions for the next thing to do. Like, that's not that. I get worn out from that. I want to go shoot people.
Yeah. I mean, the same applies. Yeah, I mean, if you get too military with it, there's a time and a place. I mean, there's a different type of game. You can go the let's go all military,
Sure.
and you can also do the complete just game style. It's just a game. Have fun with it. Team deathmatch, Call of Duty style games, or I mean, even some of them the more ridiculous type of game modes, which come from a Fortnite background, they make it fun, they make it exciting,
Right.
and it's things that are different. But when you start doing game modes, and I'll use an exact example. When you start going Rainbow Six, sorry, not Rainbow Six, SEAL Team 6. I've literally taken game modes out of there and game modes out of Jarhead, and you get the guys that come in and they know the storyline, and they've either religiously watched SEAL Team 6 or they know the movie Jarhead, and they want to go all out. And believe me, if you step one little bit off of that movie or what the scenario really is, you're going to get blasted about it. But in all fairness, it's there is a space for those game modes where it's all military and all serious. There is that space, but you can't have those all the time. Again, it's the same as ruining a venue. Keep it more exciting and change the game mode up. It works. It definitely works. But I'm still learning as I go as well. So we'll get to the point at what really works later on. I don't know. It grows from here. So.
Yeah. Well, we have been going on almost an hour, and we usually try to keep this to like 30 to 45 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap up with this. Alicia says, "Congrats to Bruce for his world record this past weekend." Real quick, tell everybody what that was about.
First of all, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. So a while back, I tried to see what I can do to just change things up a little bit and go for something that nobody really goes for. So I found out that in the US, one of the biggest indoor events held 300 players. Now, I know that event was capped to 300 players, so they can very well be a challenge in the future, and I hope to have them, or any country or any venue, as a challenge in the future. So my whole aspect was, I'm going for the world record indoor event over 24 hours, and that was the record that we landed. I needed to beat 300 players, and I managed to have a final ticket sale of 446 players attend the event over 24 hours, and that was the world record. So
nice.
It's exciting. It's something that people don't really do, and I mean, if anything, South Africa is about changing airsoft one game at a time. Somehow, some way, we're always going to do something different.
Awesome. Well, Bruce, thanks for getting on today. You guys, if you are in South Africa, be sure to check out his games. If you're looking for a destination to go play airsoft and just have fun in general, South Africa is a pretty cool place. Definitely consider put it on the list if you're looking for somewhere to travel internationally and go play airsoft. So thank you guys, and we will see you guys next time on Live from the Den.
Take it easy.